let's do a reset. There's the government of the United States. That's the legal government. There's a secret government that's illegal. Just exactly what Senator Inouye said. When he said there's a secret government with its own Air Force, its own funding mechanism. So the illegal secret government used these in clandestine operations, drug running, human trafficking, staging false events like abductions so people think the aliens are a threat, and in some cases just normal operational use and testing and development. But they're not used in, if you were to contact the senior folks at the Pentagon, one of the comments that Admiral Wilson said, and also the man I briefed who is the head of the director of the Defense Intelligence Agency, he's a 3-star General Hughes. He said, look, we can't get any information on this, but the problem is the best thing I have is a B-2 stealth bomber, and this secret government group have things that can do circles around it. So they said, what are we going to do? I said, well, you have to get these under control. Now, this is what I've been saying to everyone from the CIA director for Bill Clinton in 93 all the way through the 90s, and I'm still saying it to members of Congress. The good news is that the amnesty bill, if it passes, which after a 6-month period, all those operations would be considered criminal, then you could put law enforcement in place that goes in and seizes these craft and technologies and the bodies. And I understand there could be some living ETs in captivity.
So you think we've captured some ETs, or it's possible?
Yep.
And
we absolutely
like holding
have.
them?
Yep, we have.
Okay.
Very, very unfortunate.
Being that these ETs are, light years ahead of us, technology-wise, how come they just don't? Why wouldn't they just come here and just either take us over or come get their people back?
Mm-hmm. Well, because they're wise enough to know that if they were to do such a thing, it would create panic and would also be portrayed by the spinmeisters as an alien invasion. See, it's a catch-22. If they were to do what you're suggesting, the public has already been brainwashed about there being a threat from aliens, which is completely not true. But you bring up a very good point. And this is one of the things I had this conversation with these members of Congress about in the last few months, is that any civilization that is thousands to hundreds of thousands of years more advanced than we are, if they were hostile, they would just shut this whole enterprise down it'd take a fraction of a second. So this is a proof that they're not hostile. They're also very patient, and they don't want to do something that plays into this false narrative of this illegal secret government group. Because let's say they were to do what you're saying, and they come in and they liberate assets or people, or they shut down our capabilities to target them. That would be portrayed as an alien invasion, which is exactly what they're trying to avoid. And that's exactly what everyone in the public has been, and also, I hate to say, some people in the government have been brainwashed about. Like when Mr. Grush started talking about this event where aliens were shooting up and killing these villagers in Brazil. Well, he didn't know that was a CIA clandestine operation using our own man-made craft, and it was 100% being done by humans. So why wouldn't he know that? Because he's a young guy who wasn't read into that. He wasn't briefed into that part of it. He just heard the story. So this gets into this whole question of a little bit of knowledge on this is an extremely dangerous thing, but to unpack all of this is very complex, to go through all the evidence, the cases, the science, the top secret. Most people can't get their minds around the 70 or so top secret whistleblowers we have up on our YouTube channel, never mind the other 700. But so it's a very heavy lift, right? But it needs to happen. And at least the process has begun. But the ETs are way too smart. With my meager IQ, if I have figured out what the consequences would be of them doing what you just suggested and just coming in and taking their assets back or landing, or exposing themselves massively to the whole planet, they know, like I do, that that would be immediately spun by the spinmeisters and the liars as some kind of attack and alien invasion. And I think they're just way too evolved socially and spiritually and intellectually to fall into that trap. Because if I figure this out, I'm sure they have. But I think the other part of it is that I think it, this is a very good question that comes up a lot. Why don't they go ahead and do it and just fix this mess? I go, well, everybody heard of Afghanistan, 20 some years in Afghanistan. So we go in there. I know a lot of special forces and Green Beret people who are over there. And we go in there. We think we're going to impose Jeffersonian democracy on a country run by warlords, right? Opium trading warlords. And 20 some years later, we didn't make any more progress than we had before we went in. We left in a debacle a year ago. And now it's back to warlords. So you cannot externally impose evolution. It has to be organic. So I think the ETs are wise enough to see this and know that humans have to evolve socially, and economically, politically, spiritually, whatever, by learning. Now, it doesn't mean they just sit back and let us do everything. And one of my concerns is, and this is something not being talked about enough, is that if you have technologies that are being reverse engineered and studied for 75, 80 years, right, since the 40s, and you reach a certain point where your human technologies get close to what the ETs have, and we become a threat to them, out of self-defense, they may have to intervene. And that is a worst-case scenario. And I flat out have said that to members of Congress. We are running out of time to do this little do-si-do dance of kindergarten level of studying this issue. And they would not do it out of hostility, but they would do it out of self-defense. But most people don't know this. I mean, if I know of 122 cases where we've knocked their spacecraft down, we also have weapon systems on satellites out there in space that have targeted these extraterrestrial assets and craft. At a certain point, if our technologies get good enough and they're scalar, which means they could go beyond the speed of light and go to another star system, not the craft, but the energy weapon, then we become a true threat to other worlds. So my view of it is that if people want to know what the problem is in this corner of the universe, go look in the goddamn mirror. I mean, it's what humans are doing. It's like that Michael Jackson song, mirror, Man in the Mirror. But it's like we need to look at that and say, what are we doing? But the problem is most of the American public, and I would say most of the Congress still, don't know that those activities, that we have the technologies to be that kind of threat out there, these covert human illegal projects. So letting a group like that wander around doing anything they want in defiance of the law with no oversight by the people and no oversight from the Congress, the people's representatives, that is a true threat. So when people say, are the UAPs a threat? I go, not the ones from off planet, but the ones that are here that we're making, yes. That is the biggest threat to our national security, way bigger than China, Russia, or Iran, by an order of magnitudes.
What's up? This is Cam Capone. We got more content like this coming soon, so hit that like button, subscribe, and stay locked in to Cam Capone News.